The wind howls through the desolate, snow-covered Ural Mountains. The darkness stretches endlessly, swallowing every trace of warmth. A Soviet search team trudges forward, their lanterns casting eerie flickers on the white wasteland. Then, one of them halts. His breath catches in his throat. He points ahead. There, half buried in the snow, a tent stands, battered and slashed open from the inside. Something is very, very wrong. Search team member, whispering. "Bоже moi. My God, what happened here?" The lead searcher moves forward cautiously. The tent's entrance is ripped apart, not as if something entered, but as if the people inside tore their way out in a frantic escape. Their supplies, clothes, boots, food, are still inside. But the hikers, they're gone. And then, as they scan the area, they spot something in the distance. Footprints, bare, human, leading into the darkness. Rewind to late January 1959. A group of 10 hikers, young, ambitious, and experienced, set out on what was meant to be the adventure of a lifetime. Led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, they planned to trek through the Ural Mountains, aiming to reach Otorten, a peak whose name in the local Monsey language ominously translates to "don't go there." The team members are full of excitement. They laugh, snap photos, and jot down their experiences in their journals. Among them are Yuri Doroshenko, known for his fearless spirit, Zinaida Kalmogorova, a bright and energetic student, and Alexander Kolevatov, the quiet but highly intelligent one. On January 28th, one of the hikers, Yuri Yudin, falls ill and makes the painful decision to turn back. He doesn't know it yet, but this choice will save his life. The remaining 9 push forward into the wilderness, completely unaware that they are walking toward an unspeakable fate. On February 1st, the hikers reach the slopes of Kolet Syakhl, another name that carries a chilling meaning, Dead Mountain. They set up camp on the open mountainside, despite a safer wooded area being nearby. No one knows why they made this decision, but this is where they will spend their final night. That evening, they write in their journals, take photographs, and prepare for rest. Everything seems normal. But something, perhaps a feeling, perhaps an instinct, settles over them like an unshakable weight. The temperature drops, the wind screams against the tent fabric, and an eerie silence fills the air between the gusts of wind. Then, deep in the night, something happens. No one knows exactly what triggered the horror that unfolded next. But what is certain is that something so terrifying, so unimaginable, drove 9 experienced hikers to flee into the freezing night, without shoes, without proper clothing, without a plan. And they never returned. Back at the tent, searchers find it cut open from the inside. It's as if the hikers were desperate to escape, slashing their way out instead of simply unzipping it. Their tracks lead down the slope, scattered and erratic, as if they were running for their lives. Following the footprints, the search team descends into the tree line. That's where they find the first 2 bodies, Yuri Doroshenko and Georgy Krivonischenko. They are lying near a small fire, their hands and feet burned, as if they had tried desperately to warm themselves. But the most unsettling detail? Their bodies are barely clothed. No jackets, no boots. One of them is wearing a torn scrap of another hiker's clothing. And yet, they show no signs of being attacked by an animal or another person. It's as if they simply collapsed and died in the cold. But this is just the beginning. The rest of the hikers are still missing. And what the searchers will soon find will be even more horrifying. As the searchers scan the forest, their lanterns flicker against the frostbitten branches. The wind carries a hollow whisper through the trees, a sound so faint it almost sounds like voices. Then, one of them stumbles upon something buried in the snow. He brushes away the ice, his hands trembling. And there, frozen in place, is another hiker's lifeless face, eyes wide open, mouth twisted in a silent scream. The wind howls through the trees, rattling the frozen branches. The search team, their breaths visible in the frigid air, stand motionless. Their lanterns cast a dim glow over the lifeless face in the snow. A moment of silence stretches before one of them takes a cautious step forward. Search team member, whispering. Who is it?" With trembling hands, they brush away more snow. The stiff, frozen body of Igor Dyatlov, the leader of the expedition, emerges from beneath the frost. His hands are clenched, his body positioned as if he had been crawling toward the tent, trying to go back. His face, contorted in agony, tells them everything they need to know. He fought to survive, and failed. And Dyatlov is not alone. Not far from Dyatlov, 2 more hikers are found, Rustam Slobodin and Zinaida Kalmogorova. They, too, are barely dressed, their bodies frozen in unnatural positions. Rustam's skull has a small crack, but not deep enough to be fatal. Zinaida's arms are covered in bruises, as if she had been fighting something or someone. But there are no signs of a struggle in the snow. Search team leader, why didn't they go back to the tent? They were so close. The footprints around the bodies suggest something chilling. The hikers weren't running in panic anymore. They were crawling, as if drained of all strength, as if something had slowly taken their life away. But the horror isn't over yet. For more hikers are still missing, and when they are finally discovered, the mystery of Dyatlov Pass will only grow darker. For weeks, the search continues. Finally, in early May, when the snow begins to melt, the last 4 hikers are found, deep in the forest, at the bottom of a small ravine, buried beneath several feet of snow. But these bodies are different. They are not simply victims of the cold. Something much more violent happened here. Their injuries are gruesome, almost impossible to explain. Lyudmila Dubinina, the young woman known for her strong will, is found with her ribs shattered, her chest crushed as if struck by an immense force. Her tongue, completely missing. It had been removed while she was still alive. But there are no signs of an attack, no blood in the snow. Alexander Kolevatov's body shows signs of extreme trauma, yet no external wounds, his bones broken from within. The same goes for Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, whose skull is cracked open, yet with no visible signs of impact. Forensic expert later report, these injuries, they are not from an avalanche. They resemble a car crash. But there are no vehicles here. No falling rocks. Nothing that can explain this level of force. Even more disturbing, some of the hikers' clothes contain traces of radiation. Why? Where did it come from? No one can answer. The discovery of the final bodies sparks countless theories. The Soviet government quickly shuts down the investigation, labeling the cause of death as a compelling natural force. But that only fuels more questions. What kind of natural force can shatter bones without leaving a scratch? Rumors spread, whispers of secret military experiments, of weapons testing in the mountains. Some believe the hikers stumbled upon something they were never meant to see. Others point to the strange orange orbs seen in the sky on the same night the hikers died, witnessed by other campers miles away. Were they meteors? Secret aircraft? Or something else entirely? And then there are the indigenous Mansi people, the reclusive group native to the Ural Mountains. Some suspect the hikers angered them, trespassed on sacred land. But the Mansi deny any involvement. In fact, they warn that there is something unnatural in those mountains. Something that should never be disturbed. As the snow continues to fall over Dyatlov Pass, the truth remains buried beneath the ice. The case is closed, but the mystery lingers. Years later, the site will be revisited. New theories will emerge. But no one will ever truly understand what happened on that freezing night in 1959. Some things are meant to stay in the dark. The frozen winds of Dyatlov Pass have long buried the truth beneath layers of ice and time. But decades after that fateful night in 1959, the world is still searching for answers. Investigators, conspiracy theorists, and even scientists have attempted to piece together what really happened to those 9 hikers. But each theory only raises more questions. And then, more chilling discoveries emerge. In the months following the hikers' discovery, autopsies are conducted. The results only deepen the mystery. Some bodies show extreme internal injuries, yet no external wounds, just like victims of high-pressure shockwaves or concussive force. Lyudmila Dubinina, the young woman found in the ravine, is missing her tongue and parts of her face. But the wound appears clean, almost surgical. Traces of radiation are detected on some of their clothing. But why? The area wasn't radioactive, or was it? Forensic doctor, reading report, disturbed. Their injuries, they don't match any natural disaster. And yet, we can't explain them either. As rumors swirl, some suspect the Soviet military had a hand in the tragedy. Secret tests, experimental weapons, could the hikers have stumbled upon something they weren't meant to see? Locals report seeing strange orange lights in the sky on the night of the incident. The Soviet Union was known for conducting classified military experiments in remote regions. Authorities swiftly closed the case, sealing key evidence. Survivors' families are warned not to ask questions. Ex-Soviet officer, years later, in an interview. There were things we were not allowed to talk about. And Dyatlov Pass was one of them. But if it was a military experiment gone wrong, why didn't the government simply remove the bodies? Why leave them to be found? Some researchers point to the eerie behavior of the hikers before their deaths. The way they fled half-naked into the night, as if running from something invisible, or something that only they could see. Could infrasound, low-frequency sound waves caused by the wind, have triggered mass hysteria? Did an unknown creature or force lurking in the mountains drive them to madness? Were the orange orbs in the sky connected to extraterrestrial activity? Decades later, adventurers visiting Dyatlov Pass report an unsettling sensation, an overwhelming feeling of being watched, followed by unexplained malfunctions in their equipment. As if whatever was there never left. In 2019, the Russian government reopened the case, promising a fresh look at the evidence. Their conclusion? An avalanche. But skeptics push back. The terrain, the conditions, the way the bodies were found, none of it fits the avalanche theory. And the radiation? The missing tongue? The blunt force trauma without external wounds? Expert hiker. I've studied avalanches my whole life. There was no avalanche. Even with modern technology, Dyatlov Pass refuses to give up its secrets. Every answer leads to more questions. The case remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in modern history. The last pages of the hikers' journals paint a haunting picture. They describe laughter, excitement, and determination, until the final entries grow short, fragmented. Almost as if someone, was watching them. Last journal entry, scribbled handwriting. Now we know that the snowmen exist. Snowmen. A reference to the fabled Yeti? Or something else? The sentence ends abruptly. No further entries. It was their last message to the world. Over 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains unsolved. The truth, whatever it may be, lies buried beneath the snow, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered.